Say something cool.
Right out of the gate.
Let's go, Nash! Come on, Nash! Come on! Come on!
Nash!
Yes, ma'am.
Falling!
Hey, it's Nash. I climbed Mount Rainier and stayed up there training for a week with RMI. I had to go get up in this room and they mix it up, and it was a huge party room. It was like a honeymoon suite or something. It's all the gear next to me for scale. It was a bit much, but the room was big enough that I could do my exercises without any problem. The actual compound of RMI and Whitaker Mountaineering is located at Rainier Base Camp. You can rent your gear here, they got food, they got places to stay. It's pretty nice. So met up with the team leads and we did a gear explosion. There's all my junk there waiting to be restuffed into my bag. Then we headed off to Paradise, which is the name of the trek starting base camp. Here we are at Paradise. A lot of this was named after John Muir, the naturalist, so you go over here, and this is the start of the hike. That's a quote by John Muir. He was the most fond of Rainier, apparently, and there we are, setting out on our ruck to get up to Camp Muir on Mount Rainier. There it is off in the distance, just going and going. The training schedule was to be getting up there in a day and then focusing on glacier traversal skills, rope work, ice axe, manipulation, climbing, crevasse rescue, traversal, land navigation, just the basics of mountaineering, or I guess mid-range mountaineering. Which would come in handy since it turned out that the glacier, according to the guides, the glaciers were separating at a rate that they had never experienced before. Some of them had been up, 10, 15 years and they'd never seen stuff like this. There's a warning sign about crevasses opening up. On top of the glacier being unseasonably warm and it separating and being super difficult, there was also a wildfire that started. We were looking back here right before we got up to Camp Muir, and the wildfire just raged on. All of this smoky mist is from the wildfire, and we didn't think it would be too bad, but later on it was. We arrived at Camp Muir without much issue. This is Camp Muir here, the little plaque honoring John Muir. And this was to be our base for the next week or so while we trained. So there's some toilets, a little drop thing. That's the overlook. That little shack there on the left is where we were gonna make our camp. There's a tent there you see, and then out into the field leading up the rest of the way into the mountain. There's a ranger station, a guide shack, and a trainee shack. So the guide stayed in the guide shack, the trainee stayed in the trainee shack, and then occasionally, just a regular climbing tourist would come up. When we got up here, it was totally empty, so I of course tagged a table with the other tags. Empty except for the helicopters, these super loud helicopters that would come in and do drops and takedowns, mostly for the latrines that were up here, so they would take down the gallons and gallons of dumps and bring back empty containers. We got a nice sunset. One of the last we would see up here before the smoke from the wildfire became too bad for us to really gaze down on there. But in the morning, the place was full of tourists. Just after my morning exercises, all these randos showed up. It was, kind of cool, but then they all disappeared, and then it was just a week's worth of training again. But it was good stuff. As you can see here, the mist has come in. We actually thought we were going to have to evac because the air quality was so bad, and because of the crevasses opening up, making it treacherous because the terrain would change on your way out versus the way back. So as long as you could see and you had your wits about you, it wasn't too bad, but kind of dangerous. More dangerous than they thought it would be. So we set out for our our training. The first thing we did was climb up to some known crevasse territory where a camp had been set up, and we were going to practice rappelling down into a crevasse and then ice climbing back up. There you can see all these crevasses opening up. Some of them are 10, 20, 100, 200 feet deep.
So that's the Ingram right there.
That's the Ingram, and then
And that's like up there is the Ingram Direct, which earlier this season, believe it or not, was the route that we took up.
Wow. And which one was the Emmons?
Emmons is on the other side of the Cleaver, which the Cleaver's
other
that
side,
big,
okay.
like rock,
Cool.
like band. Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, cool. You guys get.
You can see the tents from the camp on the other side of this not at all treacherous field of large ice Mortal Kombat pits. Just walking across, threading the needle here between these two fall zones. It's not as bad as it looks because we're all roped together. Hence the ropes. We were coming up here to train to use them more efficiently. Nice little panorama of the area here, just showing where we were going to base up and practice our rappelling into this crevasse, and then also practice our ice climbing. All in all, pretty peaceful without the wildfires and a blizzard or whatnot. But yeah, the ice climbing was pretty fun and informative. I learned I really like ice climbing with a couple of axes. It's nice. When we got done training, at the end of each day, we would head back to camp and just do something silly and stupid, getting progressively dumber and more fun with each passing day.
All right. Great motivation to get back in the gym. All right, ready? Go. That's it, dude. Damn.
What does the winner have to say?
Poop. Nash-Style.
Our next outing was building systems to assist in pulling someone up out of a ravine, and then I got dared to jump in and have a guy arrest my fall.
I'm filming.
This thing's gonna break into.
Yeah, Henry. Come on, Henry. All right.
Ready?
Normally when you practice crevasse rescue, you slowly belay people in, or you could be a jerk and just jump.
Falling.
Probably too soon.
He did wind up catching me too soon, which was disappointing. I would have liked to have fallen way further. And but I mean, for a guy who I outweigh by 50 or 60 pounds, he did really well. But then they tied me off to another guy who was practicing pulling me up, and he was having a real difficulty building the system in an efficient manner, and I wound up dangling in this crevasse for over an hour. Not gonna lie, I did start to get kind of cold, but I made up for it by making them all film me doing stupid stuff.
Whether you're just crawling out of the crevasse of a glacier
Or crawling out of bed
Kellogg's Popped Tarts
are the nutritious way to
continue your day.
So most important thing, guys, we'll talk about the ladder in detail when we get up there. Absolutely perfect rope interval is the most important part going across. And I'll give you guys a lot of coaching, but okay.
As you just heard the guide said, we're going up to a ladder. In fact, it was a triple ladder, which is... a ladder is exactly what it sounds like. It's a ladder, but instead of climbing up, it is draped across a pit sideways so that you can walk across it. So this was 3 ladders taped together over a functionally bottomless pit. I mean, obviously everything has a bottom, but you certainly wouldn't want to be falling in there. You can see that the rope work here is pretty important. You can't see from this angle, but it's quite narrow. There's 2 2x4s, I guess? I don't know. Thin piece of wood on top of the ladders so that you don't fall between the rungs. But you really got to keep your balance, and it's really floppy. To my knowledge, nobody fell down, though. Our next training was the students taking the lead and roping off and trying to practice navigation across unknown crevasse areas. So we would plot a destination and then have to navigate on the fly to find the most efficient route across the crevasses, except you oftentimes don't know where they are. I mean, you try to do recon and look at them from up high and then map your way out based on that, but you don't always know, and sometimes you get down there and it seems pretty impassable. But it was gonna be a good training mission. I got to be the leader of my team, which I liked, but I say going to be a good training mission because we weren't very far in before a storm blew in and whited us all out. So we had the wildfire, we had this blizzard thing, we had a heat wave that separated the glacier. So now there's new crevasses everywhere. We don't know what's going on, so we had to double back through GPS waypoints. And then we kind of got stuck inside because of the weather. So what do you do when you're stuck inside? Just get goofy and start making up challenges, like making a swing out of some climbing harnesses in the ceiling, or trying to do weird, slow giants up over a muscle board that's too small for a grown man's legs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alright,
Do you want me to Jimmy Chin it?
ready? 3, 2, 1.
All right. We got you.
You got it.
Let's go, Nash.
Come on, Nash.
Do it.
Come on, come on.
So we drank the Rainier beer somebody brought, and we made up this obstacle course, and then we tagged it for whoever could complete the course. I made it, of course. And then we just kind of hung out on our last day because we couldn't make it to the summit since all of the things I just mentioned. So we just kind of screwed around and saw how many people could belay off of a Kirkland protein bar if it was used as a dead man. We got like 7 people off of this thing. I don't know if people should be eating them, but I ate the one we were using as an anchor. So all in all, pretty good trip. I recommend it. Thanks for watching, and Nash out. Go.
General public, dude.
Whether you're just crawling out of the crevasse of a glacier. Damn it.
All right. Take two. Cut. Cut. Take two.
You can? You want to make a face? Make a goofy face. I'll put it in the video. Yeah. Yeah! And then people will see your beard and be like, that's on point. That is on brand for a gentleman with a beard like that.
Did I tell you said Pop Tarts?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta hit the popped at the end.
You got to emphasize.
But they're just Pop-Tarts.
You gotta sound like a pompous ass.